My name is Ryan Stefani. I work here at Crow Canyon. Today we are going to be covering our IT help desk for SharePoint Online, SharePoint on premises. That's 13, 16, and 19, as well as the classic and the modern UI. We do have options for all five. It's just getting to 11 o'clock now, so before we jump into the actual product demo, I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview of Crow Canyon. For those of you who have heard it before, I apologize. Just kind of bear through it with me. We're going to wait for just kind of go through a few minutes while we have some folks join on. So with that in mind, let's get it rolling. Okay, so Crow Canyon, we've been around since 1999. 20 years now. I think we just had our 20th anniversary in January. We started as an old help desk system in the old Outlook folders, and then we've been developing on SharePoint for the last, probably 10, 12 years or so. So I've had a lot of experience not only in the help desk space, but also in the SharePoint space. And we have two kind of distinct sides of what we do here. One is the out-of-the-box applications, the SharePoint templates, for example, the IT help desk, what we're going to be covering today. And the other side of the business is what we call our Nitro Studio. Nitro Studio is our application creation suite. Basically, it's our tool set that we use to run our applications with. So forms, workflows, reporting, our Power Portal, which we'll touch on today, as well as various different apps that go into our applications. Now, what's nice about that is that not only do you have the keys to the car in the sense you can go in and make changes to the template once it's deployed within your guys' SharePoint tenancy or farm, but you can really take it and make it your own. Right? So an out-of-the-box application is really nice from the standpoint of, hey, it's there, it's going to work from day one. But we all know that no two companies are alike, right? We've all had multiple jobs, and a help desk means, help desk means something different to each company, right, in their own unique ways. So with with that Nitro Studio, with those tool sets, those tools, you have the ability to go in and really make it your own. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump into the product demo now, but do also keep in mind that you do have the ability to ask questions. We have someone monitoring that as well. So if any questions pop up, feel free to shoot those over. All right. So the IT help desk. Now this is going to be the landing page for our technicians. And really when we talk about the help desk, we have three kind of varying levels of permissions access. So you have your end users, you have your technicians, and then you have your admin staff. So right now this is going to be the landing page for your technicians. Don't pay too much attention to the branding, the color scheme, right? Crow Canyon is blue and white, so therefore our demo site is blue and white. Now this can match your guys' color scheme, logo, etc., to meet your internal requirements there from a branding perspective. But before I go too far down the rabbit hole of the technician side, I want to touch on how tickets get into the system, right? How your end users are interfacing with that backend staff. So there's a few ways, and we kind of follow that, ITIL standard, being able to collect a ticket from an email, right? If you have a shared inbox or if you have multiple shared inboxes related to different groups, you have the ability to capture and create tickets from that shared email. Title of the email becomes title of the ticket, body of the email becomes body of the ticket, right? So if it's help desk at, support at, whatever it may be, you do have that automation in there. Another option right here is just going in and being able to create a new ticket through the backend site, right? If you're still working through like a phone call or someone pops into your office, you do have the ability to create a ticket on behalf of an end user. And now the other option that we're working with right here is called our Power Portal. Now this is part of the Nitro Studio and our first real example of what we can do with Nitro, powering up our out-of-the-box applications. And why I like the Power Portal is for a few reasons. One, it makes the SharePoint permissioning a lot cleaner, right? We're not giving access to our end users to this backend site, mixing them with our technicians, our admins, etc. Right? This is specifically for our technicians, while the portal is more end user friendly, right? You can brand it. You can see we put in a photo in the background. You can plug in your logo here, description, etc. Gives them something that catches the eye and a nice landing page. You can do things like put in quick ticket notification or quick ticket links, as well as notifications, right? If there's a maintenance going on an application or a server's going to be down, this is where you're going to be able to notify your end users of, hey, what's going on. And from here, the end users also have some functionality as well, mainly in this submit new ticket feature. So what's nice about this, it's going to pull up the second piece of the Crow Canyon tools we're going to be talking about, and that's our forms. So now this is a Crow Canyon form. It is not a standard SharePoint. This is built and designed by us. And what's cool here is that it's automatically reading my login, right? I'm logged in as my admin account and it's populating my information over. And I can come in and fill out my ticket, title, category, issue type, etc. Right? Description's rich text. It could be screenshots. They can copy and paste pictures into here. They can include attachments here at the bottom. Heck, even HTML, I think, if they need to, right? So once they were, before I get too far ahead of myself, this is mobile responsive. So it's available on a laptop, iPad, iPhone. If you're utilizing the modern UI, it's also available through the SharePoint app as well. Now, once they go and they populate all their ticket information, there's a workflow associated with the ticket. So we could just put a test ticket here. Select the category and an issue type. So now what's nice about the category and the issue type columns is that they are dependent upon each other. So if I select calendar category, I'm only going to see issue types related to calendar. Now, if I come in and make a change to say hardware request, I'm only going to see issue types related to hardware request, right? This is important when we're talking about ticket assignment. So when I hit save, a few things are going to happen. You know, A, the end user is going to be notified that the ticket's been created successfully. And then B, they're going to jump over to this view submitted tickets page, which I'll get into in just a second. The third part is that the appropriate internal IT team is going to be notified that a new ticket has been created. So if you have different people or different groups working different categories of tickets, you can automatically assign them those tickets based on your internal requirements. So if you have one person handling network and one person handling generic requests, they can be assigned those tickets based on their login, right? Based on something that you define in the back end of the site as to who own each category and each issue type. Now that's not set in stone, right? The nice thing about SharePoint is that we have a lot of flexibility with what we can do from a configuration standpoint, right? It's flexible. It's in your environment, so we can make it make sense for you. And an example of that is this category and issue type assignment, right? If that's not how you guys do it internally, don't worry about it. You can do things like notify all your technicians when a ticket is created. You can notify one person, kind of like the dispatch method, where they get notified when a ticket is created and then they assign it to the appropriate party. A lot of options for ticket assignment there, so you're not pigeonholed into one option. A round robin too is another thing that pops up from time to time. Now let's talk about this view submitted tickets page on this employee portal. What's nice about this is, you know, we talk to a lot of customers, a lot of clients. Is it a must-have? No, but what I like about it is that it's a potential time saver, and it's another good way to interface with your end users, right? Get them more comfortable with your environment. Whether it's SharePoint or Office 365, we want them to leverage the platform that you're using. And this is a good way to get them involved, actively coming to SharePoint or Office 365 to see what's going on with their request. And they can do exactly that, right? Look at the title of the request, who's assigned to it, what the status is. They can come in and view the request after the fact in case the technician has left them any notes. It just gives them a way to, like I said in the beginning, interface with that back-end department without having to phone them, email them constantly, right? They can navigate to the portal and see exactly what the information that you want them to see from this interface. The same goes for knowledge-based articles. You know, we do our best with our end users to make KB articles available, right? And we want them in an easily consumable place. And the more your end users are familiar and comfortable with this portal, they're more likely to use these KB articles, right? So whether it's a password reset or, you know, like in this case, the printer's not working, they can either search by category, they can search by title, they can search by body, but it gives them a place to actively look into those KB articles. And this portal is configurable, just like the backend site is, the SharePoint site where the IT help desk lives. You know, as long as you have the appropriate access, going back to that three-tiered kind of structure, right? Admins are going to have access to the portal. They can come in and make any UI changes, background images, like we said, color schemes. They can change those quick links, notifications, as well as the portal forms themselves. I'm not going to go into the forms just yet. I will touch on the forms in the Nitro Studio in just a brief overview at the end of the demo, so hold on for that. And then the last bit is just like we talked about, trimming security settings. Okay, so let's shift our focus here now to the back end of the site, or where the technicians are going to live. This guy here. So we talked about how tickets get into the system, whether it's via email, that portal, or submitted on behalf of an end user by a technician. Now, once those tickets are created, we're still working in the kind of basic SharePoint framework of lists, right? SharePoint lists, SharePoint libraries, views, and dashboards. Sorry, a little tongue-tied. So once the ticket hits the ticket list, doesn't mean that it's kind of a free-for-all, right? What we've done is we've broken it up to create different views for when those technicians log in. So if you're an IT team member and you're working tickets, you're going to have your own workspace, right? You're going to see tickets equal to you. We call it a staff workspace, whatever you want to call it, but tickets equal to you, tasks equal to you, reports that make sense for you as you're logged in, right? So what I mean by that is assign staff as admin account, and we'll go back to the fact that I'm logged in as my admin account. So when you navigate to your staff workspace, it's going to be equal to the person that's logged in. The manager's dashboard is a little bit more report heavy, 10,000 foot level view. You're going to see overdue tickets for your team, as well as, like we talked about, a little bit more report heavy. Now, the reporting piece is another part of the Nitro Studio. These are Crow Canyon reports. Now, I won't have enough time to go into this in detail, but if you do want to know more about reports, or really any of the functionality that we're touching on today, please feel free to reach out. We can do a more personalized demo, really get down into the nuts and bolts of how each piece works. But for right now, what I will say on the reports is that they're live. They're easily embedded into a SharePoint page. You don't have to be a SharePoint designer to understand how to embed a report within a page. We do make that very user-friendly. And you can do things like export to Excel, export to PDF, PNG, email, print. These reports, you can see those controls in the action bar here at the top. And another thing you can do is actually schedule these reports using our workflow tool. So we touched a little bit on the workflows already when that ticket is created, right? Notifying the end user, notifying the appropriate internal team member, creating a new SharePoint list item. Those workflows are automated, set, and ready to roll. With our reports, we can also utilize the workflow tool to schedule them, like I said, meaning, hey, the CIO wants to see incoming tickets by month, the first of every month at 9 a.m. So you can generate this report and have it sent to their email ready and waiting for them at the time they specify. So it makes it easy from a reporting perspective to have everything consumable on one page, or if folks don't like navigating to a SharePoint page, like we said, we have that schedule ability. Okay, so let's talk a little bit now about working a ticket. Let's pull one of these guys up. So for those familiar with SharePoint, there's a few different forms or ways to view a SharePoint list item via form in a SharePoint list. What I mean is there's a display, and an edit form. So right here, we're looking at the display form, right? Pretty self-explanatory. We're displaying the information. What we've done is we've added a few extra features into the display form to make life easier, to cut down on clicks for your technicians. And that can be in the way of like version history. Who was the last person to change the ticket? Who changed it, when they changed it, what they changed, right? So auditing perspective, you have that available. Close some tabs here. The other options we have across the top is this plus with the circle around it. This is called custom actions. Custom actions are another piece of Nitro Studio. Think of it as like a manually invoked workflow. So we can have something as simple as, hey, I'm gonna hit this self-assign button and it's gonna assign the ticket to me. So it's gonna fire off that workflow for you. Maybe it was assigned to the wrong person. The end user plugged in the wrong category and it needs to be sent off to somebody else. You also have that ability as well. Now, in the assign to someone button. Now that's kind of basic. We do have a bit more complex custom actions built in here that utilize a feature in our forms called associated items. And what that does is it gives you the ability to pull up a form related, or pull up a form in a different SharePoint list within the form that you're in. So what I mean is I'm in the tickets list and I want to create a problem. Internet's down and I got 40 tickets for the internet being down. So this is the first ticket, and I want to create a problem based off this ticket. So when I click create problem, what it's doing is it's going to pull up the form for the problems list. So typically I would have to close everything out, go to my problems list here on the left-hand side and hit new problem, and then link the tickets to it. But what's cool here is that, like I said, it pulls up the form for me. I don't have to leave the screen that I'm in, and I can go and fill out my problem details, right? Category, issue type, related asset, if we want to go down that asset route. Shameless plug, I'll talk about this at the end again, but we are doing an asset management webinar in about a month. So if you are interested in asset management, August 8th, at the same time, there is going to be an asset webinar. So fill out your problems, and then under the advanced tab, being able to link tickets to the problem as well as assign team and staff members, work log, affected components, etc. So when you create a problem, let's just do one here. Not only will it create a problem in the problem list, but it will also automatically link that problem to the ticket itself. So it's really handy from a time-saving perspective, right? If I come over here, there's that new problem. So you can do things from one interface as seamlessly as possible. So that's custom actions. Another one that gets used pretty frequently is this Crow Canyon email feature. And what it does is it gives you the ability to send an email and automatically relate it to a SharePoint list item, in this case, a ticket. So you can see kind of the common theme here, right? We want to be able to do as much as we can from one interface without having to click around. You know, a lot of the things that we talk about are cutting down on time, you know, cutting down on duplicate data entry. And these are a few examples of how we can help you accomplish that. So this email feature gives you the ability to send an email from, well, in this case, it's coming from me, you know, my email address, but you could also do it from a no reply. You could do it from a shared inbox. Again, you have options there. It's going to the requester, and then you can include attachments, KB articles, and you can select different mail templates to be applied to these emails. So if you type in the same email over and over again when someone forgets their password, what you can do is you can save it as a template in this email feature, which is, again, a part of the Nitro Studio. So we've covered forms, workflows, reports, that portal. We talked about custom actions. Now, email manager is another piece here. You can save it as a mail template, the wrong tab, and apply it to this email. So let's say it's forgot password email. We choose our template, we hit send, and what's nice is that it's going to let you know what it's doing. Content prepared successfully, item created successfully, added to outbox. So it's coming from my email. We've created a new list item in the email tickets list, and we've sent it to the end user. So now as this ticket refreshes and I tab over to related items, I can see that how to reset your password email here at the top. So again, it's a time saver. As opposed to having to toggle back and forth between Outlook and SharePoint saying, hey, what was the last email to come in? Did I respond? Did they respond? Where are we in the communications? It gives you that running conversation history right from the ticket itself. Okay, so now let's shift over to the edit item. And this is going to highlight, so I want you to keep your eyes on the tabs here at the top. And this just gives you an example of what we can do with the forms. Again, I'll go into this in more detail here in a minute, but basically you have the option to have a different form for edit versus display. So now as I hit edit, we're going to see a few new tabs pop up. Work log and time tracking. It's a way to security trim. It's a way to keep information clean and neat and presentable. Again, it just kind of shows the flexibility of what we can do from the Nitro Studio. So this employee tab is pretty straightforward, right? Title, category, issue type, description, that requester information coming over from the original ticket. The staff tab is who's assigned, right? Not only can you do a staff team member, or a staff member, but you can also do a team as well. And you can see things like, due date. And what's cool here is that with the due date column, you can build out some SLAs if need be, meaning populating due dates when a ticket is created, notifying the technician when the ticket is coming due or overdue, and then the last piece is notifying the manager, marking the ticket as high priority if that due date passes. So if the workflow tool can say like, hey, the ticket was due yesterday. So now since it's 24 hours past due, what I want to do is mark that priority as high and notify the next level in command that, hey, this ticket needs to be addressed. So the resolution notes, it's a notes field, right? SharePoint column, multi-line of text. And what's cool here is that, or maybe not multi-line of text, but it's a notes field where we can fill it out and it's going to be communicated to our end user. Now they can access that through the portal as well. Again, getting them used to dealing with that portal. But what's nice here is that once these resolution notes are filled out and the request status equals closed, you can come over to this knowledge base tab and actually create a KB article from that resolution notes field. What it does is it turns it into a SharePoint wiki page and then updates that KB article library. So not only can you add knowledge base articles to tickets, but you can also create them from tickets as well. And just real quick, we're coming up at the bottom of the hour here, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you can also make KB articles internal versus external only. So if you want your technicians to see certain KB articles and your end users to see certain KB articles, you have that ability as well. Related items we've touched on, email history. We talked about problems, change requests, right? If something has to go through an approval process or an upgrade, you have the ability to create a change request not only in the application itself here through its list, or also like we talked about through the custom actions through the associated item setting and be able to pull up that change request form from a ticket and automatically relate it to the ticket that it's in. Some sort of an approval, if it has to go through approver, etc. The last piece is a task. It's just another way to create a parent-child relationship, right? Say a ticket's open and you have to, some task has to be completed on a ticket, whether it's something as simple as buying toner for a printer, resetting a router, something like that, that you're not going to be physically handling yourself. What you can do is you can assign a task to another team member or heck to anyone in the organization that you want to deem fit to handle these tasks, right? Who it's assigned to, give them a due date, give them a task name. And then when that task is saved, they're going to be notified that they have a new task assigned to them, just like they would if they had a ticket, right? Ticket process is the same, task is going to be the same. So they'll be able to see that task and they'll get an email notification with the link to the task in it as well. Work log, we're just keeping track of notes, internal notes. This is strictly, eyes only for the technicians. So, if you're changing hands or any work that you've done on the ticket, this is where you're going to keep track of it. And as soon as you add notes to this work log, it's going to date and timestamp who added notes, when they added it, etc. Time tracking. So SharePoint itself isn't like, it's not your standard time tracking platform, right? Where you can log in and say, hey, I worked on, this thing for this long, et cetera, et cetera. It's just not how it operates out of the box, but doesn't mean we can't time track against a ticket. And we give you that ability here as well, right? So you can come in and actually plug in how time spent on a task or on a ticket, right? Let's just say new log, keep it straightforward and simple. We'll say it's me, and we worked on it for an hour. You hit save, it updates the time track log, and it keeps a total aggregate time spent on a ticket here at the bottom. So I've seen some of our clients use this for total time spent versus key to key, meaning open to closed, right? Actual time worked versus how long the ticket was open. It just gives you the ability to kind of keep track of, hey, how much time did we actually spend on this ticket? So now that's working a ticket in a nutshell. Like I said, we do have the ability to or create problems and change requests associated with the IT help desk. We can also relate it to our assets module, which again, webinar is coming up on August the 8th. But as we get to the bottom of the hour here, our last 5 minutes, I do want to spend some time on the form designer just to show you what that looks like, because anytime you're in a SharePoint list, we're dealing with a form. But if you do want to take a deeper dive in problems or change requests, assets, please reach out, let us know. I'd be happy to schedule a more personalized demo. So this is the Nitro Studio. Like I said, we've talked about a lot about this throughout the entire 30 minutes that we've had today, right? Forms, workflows, reports, that email sync, creating and capturing tickets from an email. We've looked at list views through our dashboards, list roll-ups through our dashboards. We basically touched on every piece that we have here. But like I said, I do want to take a little bit deeper dive into the forms tool. So what's nice about the forms tool is that you can actually create a list or create a form and automatically link it to the list that you're working on. So if I come down to my tickets list, I have the ability to create that form or configure that form right from the list itself. So I'm a tiered thinker, right? We've already talked about, end user, technician, admin level. This is going to be the admin level, who has access to come in and make changes to the forms. Again, it's going to be people that you deem fit. But the form design kind of has a few different tiers in my mind as well. And that's UI, UX design, how the form looks and feels. The second level is like SharePoint functionality, permissions, as well as security trimmings, column validations, etc. And then the last piece is like the developer tools. But before I get into that, I just want to touch on the top bar here. So you can see the forms from a coloring and configuration standpoint is pretty generic, right? We have a light tab color with the white background. If you want to create your own theme, you definitely have the ability to do so. You can see we have a few default, but you have full capabilities to come in and create your own theme. If you have your own color scheme and logo that you want to use and apply it to all forms in the site, that's possible. And through the forms theme here, you also have the ability to inject custom CSS into a form. Okay. Now, when we talk about look and feel, I'm sorry, ahead of myself. So I touched on this a little bit, but being able to have different forms for new edit and display, that's a possibility. You can also manage forms, meaning you can have multiple forms per SharePoint list. Now, if you want to have one form for a generic request, one form for a hardware request, that's a possibility as well. You can also do things like export and import form settings into another SharePoint list. This is probably more standard across when we're talking about Nitro for our entire tenancy. So Nitro Studio comes with all of our applications. So it's included in the pricing of the IT Help Desk. But if you do want to use Nitro and create across your entire tenant or farm, you have that ability at a separate cost. This is where that form settings come in. If you have a base template for a form and you want to export it and re-import it into another list, we have that ability as well. And then you can do things like preview the form, what it's going to look like. We talked about being mobile friendly. So this is an example of how you can see that, right? Laptop, iPad, iPhone, right? And you still have the ability to tap through. Okay, look and feel. So you can change the tab colors, right? You can do sections versus tabs. If you want more of a scrolling form, that's a possibility as well. And if you don't like that blue line, you want it more of like just one long form, you can make this a line. You can do things with how tabs versus sections. Another thing you can do is actually change the background color. Let's find something non-obnoxious here. There we go. So break up the eye a little bit if you want a color scheme there. You can also do things like do 2 columns versus 1. Change the vertical position. So how the column reads, right? We have a 2 column layout on our staff tab. Oh, we don't. Let's make it a 3 column. Show you what that guy looks like. So look and feel perspective, color scheme, how the columns read. You have that ability. Now under form controls is how we actually design the forms. It's very much drag and drop. We've tried to make it as WYSIWYG as possible. So if you want a new tab, it's drag and drop. If you want to drop in a HTML line, you can. And you can do things like, new ticket. And being able to make that accessible to your end users. Now, another feature, and we're just about out of time here, but another feature that we've added is this table, being able to drag and drop a table into a SharePoint form. So this is something one of our coworkers, our colleagues created its W4 form that's available in a SharePoint form. So you can see that we can get pretty complex with what we can do from our form design, and this table just makes it more flexible for us to be able to come in and replicate government forms or replicate a specific form that you want to replicate. All of our SharePoint lists, or all of our columns in our SharePoint list are here on the left. So you can either search them or just scroll through. Once you find the column that you want, when you want to add it in, you just drag it and drop it, right? What's cool about the table is that you can actually drag and drop a control into each section of the table as well. So very configurable from that regard. Now the next level, the SharePoint level, is that you can configure permissions, you can configure validations on these forms, and then from a developer standpoint, you can do things like call out to external databases, populate SharePoint columns from an external database column, inject custom JavaScript into a form, have different form event actions, as well as have script and submit actions available in the form as well. Again, I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, but if you want to take a deeper dive into any pieces that we saw today, whether it was the help desk itself, problem management, the change requests, the forms tool, or the Nitro Studio as a whole, please do let me know. I'd be happy to show you guys in more detail, spend an hour together of what that would look like or how it would look for your company. But we are at the bottom of the hour, so we are out of time. I do want to open up and see if there's any questions from today's walkthrough. So if you guys have questions, feel free to shoot those over.
Oh, hi, Ryan. Do you hear me?
Yeah, coming through just fine.
Oh, yeah. All right. Some question was about mobile and, mobile tickets, mobile access to the help desk. And,
Sure.
You can talk about that a moment.
Yeah, so, is it mobile responsive? Absolutely. We've done a lot to make things mobile responsive. So let me see if I can pull up an employee portal form here.
Such as the portal. Yeah, the portal is
Yeah,
good.
the portal is a great example. And something that if you're on Classic, we've made, or using Classic, the Classic experience, you can definitely utilize these forms on a mobile phone, right? They are mobile responsive. Now, if you're using the modern UI, you can actually utilize that SharePoint app, for Android and iOS. It's something that I do pretty frequently internally here, utilizing that SharePoint app. So whether it's browser-based or app-based, yes, mobile responsive is possible.
Yes, that's a very big feature these days, and that's good. Another is about change requests. Somebody's asking if we can do if the program couldn't. Well, actually, we got two questions. One is there a simpler version, and is there a more involved version? So, cover just how the help desk can cover either simple scenarios or ones involving problem and change management. Just the
Absolutely.
range of possibilities.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we have a few different versions of the help desk, right? We have just a generic ticketing system where I don't want to say generic, but it's like a ticketing system. Hey, we're trying to cover these requests and we want to answer them in a timely manner and make sure it's all tracked. Hey, I have a question about this, I have a question about that. It goes to the appropriate team member and then they respond. Now, if you want to get more in depth and be very ITIL compliant or ITSM in mind, right? We do have that availability as well in our premium version of our tools where it's, very SLA heavy, change request heavy, or change request in mind, etc. So yeah, we do have different variations of the product. And if you do want to take a deeper dive into those, the premium or the professional versions, that's where I would say reach out, contact me, and we'll schedule time to spend a whole hour on just those tools.
Yeah, that's right, because it does take time to show that aspect of it. Also, the asset integration you mentioned also. How
Right.
So the program can be simple ticketing system, really, in a task management, ticket management system using the Nitro Studio, or it can be very complex using asset management, change management, problem management. It really is up to what the need is, right? The requirement.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we said, it can just be a help desk, but you can see we have different application templates here available. So what's nice is that they can each be a standalone or they can all work together. So if you want everything to roll up into one, but you want an IT help desk, you want a work order system, and you want asset and equipment tracking, yeah, they all can be purchased and installed separately, but they also can be linked together and roll up more into a service management solution. So it's up to, what's nice here is that we're working on SharePoint, we're working within your SharePoint tenancy or farm, and we can really make it make sense for you in that regard.
That's right, and there's other variations besides help desk. It could be a service desk for facilities or work orders or any kind of problem. It doesn't have to be
Marketing. Yeah, we've seen recently. HR is another big one. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Any kind of request management, ticket management using the portal. Do you happen to have the modern UI available at the show, or is that we do
I
have it in I want
do.
to emphasize that we do have the modern UI in the SharePoint Online, a system that totally works inside of the modern UI. In fact, it's quite an exciting environment to work in. And there's various ways you can configure this portal here with the various elements that we've added on, such as the web parts we've added and other elements, list views, dashboards, reports. So it makes a really nice portal for, well, this is a user dashboard, not the portal, but we can make a nice portal for people in the user, in the modern UI, which also can span across multiple departments. If you have a help desk and you also have facilities and you have HR, you can have one common interface for the employees to go to
Yeah,
access tickets.
and a great plug because we do have another webinar coming up on September 12th on how to accomplish that exact issue, right? How to handle that issue of, hey, I have multiple requests I want to handle within my SharePoint tenancy or my Office 365 space, and I want everyone to work from one common interface. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be touching on September the 12th. An employee self-service portal with a service request management system built in behind it. So being able to submit various types of requests from that one portal interface and then having it be routed to the appropriate department on the back end.
Good, good. So what would you say the next steps would be if people are interested in the?
Yeah, next steps are, feel free to reach out. My email's down here at the bottom if you want to take a screenshot. My first and last name, or my first dot last name at crowcanyon.com. Sales at Crowcanyon is a really good way to get a hold of us as well. And just say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about the help desk, or I want to take a deeper dive into change requests or asset management, whatever it may be. And we'd be happy to schedule some time with you guys and take a deeper dive.
Yeah, it sounds great. And we have another webinar coming up in August. I think you saw that on the last screen you were
Yeah,
showing there. Yep.
Yeah, we have the asset management
Asset management.
webinar, yeah, August 8th, and then that employee service portal with service request management September 12th. Definitely don't miss this one. It's going to be a nice a new product rollout for Crow Canyon, and like I said, how we handle multiple requests being routed to different departments, but all visible from one area.
That's right. And if people are interested in Nitro Studio itself as a work forms and workflow creation
Mm,
platform, it's a very exciting tool, and you showed some of it today. And we have workshops on it. We have a lot of information, and you can do a trial of the Nitro Studio or learn more in a demo about all the capabilities of the forms designer, the portal, the workflows, the custom
mm.
actions. It's quite an extensive tool to help you build what you need inside of SharePoint and Office 365.
Right. Yeah, two really good points. I mean, yeah, absolutely. We do offer trials on both of our applications as well as Nitro Studio. And yeah, you can see Nitro has its fingers all the way throughout our applications, right? These pre-built, ready to roll applications lean heavily on Nitro Studio. And like Scott said, you can definitely utilize those tools to go in and create something that we don't have out of the box that makes sense for your organization.
Right. One question was about trial and subscription. Certainly, we offer trials, demos, trials, 30-day trials if needed, if wanted.
Right.
So that you can always get a trial going and see it in action, and we'll help you see how it's useful it is and what can be done with it and the modifications. Those kind of things, whether it's the applications or the Nitro Studio.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point on the trial. We do offer a trial, like Scott said, it's 30 days. We definitely treat you like you're coming on board with Crow Canyon, so we'll help you install up and running from a training perspective, as well as access to not only myself or the support team, as well as the support team, I should say. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you're interested in a trial as well. We can talk about what that looks like.
Okay, good stuff. We'll be
Well,
sending
thanks,
out a
Scott.
follow-up email.
Yeah, we'll send out an email with the recording tomorrow, I believe. So thanks everyone for joining. Scott, thanks for hopping on and answering questions for us. And we will talk to you guys next time.
Yes.
Have a nice day, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.